Hello YouTubes, WowSoAmaze here, and today's list is about some of the worst parents in the world. The type of parents that do things like this, oh and even this. Welcome to the list of the 5 worst parents ever.
Number 5.
When James and Crystal Diggers caught their 14-year-old daughter eating Pop-Tarts without their permission, they kicked her out of the house for a week and forced her to live in the woods. Now I know Pop-Tarts are absolutely delicious, but come on, kicking your young daughter out to fend for herself is a slight overreaction. They did however give her a tent and a schedule for when food would be delivered, and the daughter had to endure thunderstorms and other harsh weathers. Eventually though, Grandma found out and called the police. The police brought the daughter inside and warned the parents not to do it again. The police decided to do a random check the very next day, and discovered the daughter had been forced back into the woods as soon as they had left. The police decided the parents had gone too far and arrested them for neglect. They discovered that this was a regular punishment, and on one occasion the daughter was outside for a whole month. James and Crystal Diggers were thankfully disciplined themselves and were charged with unlawful neglect of a child.
Number 4.
What are your options if your child isn't doing that great at school? Maybe have a little motivational chat, or maybe study with them extra after school, but what about threatening to blow up the school? No? Well, that's exactly what Karen Sheeran's reaction was when she was told her daughter was underperforming and had failed an exam. Karen didn't believe it was any fault of her daughter's and placed all the blame on the Suzanne Wagner High School, so she called them up and told them she would soon be blowing the place up. Obviously, they didn't take this lightly, so they called the police who immediately arrested Karen. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what she hoped to gain from this threat. Maybe she hoped they would automatically give her daughter top grades. Who knows, but Karen was eventually charged with aggravated harassment.
Number 3.
When I was a young lad, I was quite lucky to sometimes receive pocket money for being good and doing all of my chores. But at the Mudd family house, they rewarded their children with Class A drugs. Joey and Chad Mudd both openly admitted to snorting cocaine and smoking weed with their teenage daughters aged 14 and 13. They even claimed it improved their daughters' grades at school. Joey Mudd worked as a care worker and was charged with 2 counts of child abuse, whilst their father Chad was charged with 6 counts of child abuse and possession of cocaine. It doesn't stop there though, because Chad didn't just give drugs to his own children. No, he gave them to other people's children as well, and used to drive around in his truck sniffing cocaine with local teenagers. It's not known how young their children were before they started feeding them drugs, but now Joey and Chad are not allowed any contact with their children. The children are now being looked after by relatives because their parents are spending a little bit of time behind bars.
Number 2.
South Korea currently has a problem with video game addiction, and to combat this they ordered all the gaming companies to block anyone under the age of 18 from playing after a certain time. Even with all of the government's efforts, they're still fighting an uphill battle, and one of the cases in particular took this addiction to a whole new level. That particular case was of a couple who were so obsessed with bringing up a virtual baby on a game called Prius Online that they totally neglected their real baby, which resulted in the poor child dying. They left their child at home whilst they went to an internet cafe, and they occasionally popped back for feeding time. After one 12-hour gaming session, they returned home and found their child had died. They immediately packed their bags and ran away to their parents. It wasn't long until the police were involved and quickly caught the parents, and the investigation proved the baby had passed away due to being malnourished. The reason the couple gave for neglecting their child is that they were depressed and unemployed, and the life they led online was an escape from reality.
Number 1.
What do you buy your child for their 7th birthday these days? I don't know, maybe some toys or some clothes or a bike, but what about cosmetic surgery? Self-declared human Barbie Sarah Berg gave her daughter Poppy a $10,000 voucher for breast enlargement. Okay, it's not quite as bad as it sounds. The voucher can only be redeemed on her 16th birthday. Sarah herself has already been under the knife and is quite famous herself for spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on her own cosmetic surgery. Sarah said that it wasn't her idea. Her daughter Poppy had been begging her for the surgery, but I suspect Sarah had a little bit of influence. Poppy has said that she wants to be just like her mummy and have big breasts because they're pretty, and she is currently waiting for her 16th birthday to come along. But in the meantime, her mum is teaching her how to pole dance. And that brings my list of the 5 worst parents in the world to an end. I jolly well hope you liked it, and if you did and you want to see more weird, wonderful and mysterious countdowns, then why not subscribe below. Thank you for watching, see you next week.